It is a curious thing to observe the machinations of the damned. Most devils spend their eternities clawing up the slopes of hierarchy, only to slip, scrape, and fall again under the weight of infernal politics. Yet even among this nest of serpents, few ever slither so subtly or with such delicious spite as Levistus, Lord of Stygia, Prince of the Ice. Now, most chroniclers dismiss the frozen Archduke as a cautionary tale, an upstart with charm enough to seduce a consort of Asmodeus, then foolish enough to murder her and earn an eternal prison of black ice for his troubles. That, of course, is only part of the story. Levistus did far more than brood beneath the frost. They see a statue, I see a throne. They believe stillness makes me powerless. Let them. Let every fool in the hells believe that being frozen stopped me from moving my pieces on the board. I do not need hands to turn pawns into my queens. I only need time within my frozen lair. And I have more than any of them. Even before the ice took me, I saw what they could not. That the true strength of hell does not lie in the courts, but in the cracks, the edges, the borders of souls willing to do whatever it takes for vengeance. They are the forgotten of the multiverse. So I grasped beyond the reach of Asmodeus, beyond the smug little dukes who thought themselves safe behind his favor. I whispered to the desperate. I offered the falling a way to climb out again. Some thought it was out of kindness. No, never that. But because a drowning devil or mortal will sell anything for a new breath of life or their own selfish revenge story. From the distant reaches of the outer torments, those windswept wastes between the 9 hells and realms more wretched still, his influence spread like frost upon a window pane. Yugoloths eager for contracts, fallen dukes desperate for meaning, pit fiends too prideful to bow and too weak to stand. These fallen, Levistus reached through agents whose faces no two ever saw alike. Each contact was isolated, compartmentalized, and laced with quiet promises of power. Most of the other archdevils paid no mind. What good were dust-swept borderlands? Let Levistus have his wretches. Let him feed on the scraps. So they thought that would keep him silent and busy. A starving devil will sell his spine, but not before he devours his master first. I knew they'd never see it coming. Asmodeus's spies, his flawless little truth-mongers, I fed them just enough falsehood to hang themselves. I watched them fall, one by one, disavowed by their lord, discarded like embers within a fire pit gone cold. And they came to me, because I remembered their names when their masters forgot. Once restored to his station, albeit sealed still in the glacial crypt of his own making, Levistus began a hoarding unlike anything the 9 hells had ever seen. He stockpiled souls, as if they were trinkets to be locked away and offered only on the promise of betrayal. Rumors swirled, of course. Even among devils, his stinginess became legend. They called him the frozen hoarder with no mind for the glory of conquest. But oh, how wrong they were. They starve, I feast. And when they beg, I will name the price for their revenge. Bribery was my devilish hook, yes, but hunger was the leash. I bled the harvests dry, one soul at a time, took them from under the noses of their vaunted harvesters, seduced their mortals, then offered the prize to the hunter, in exchange for a favor they swore they'd never give. Pride would not let them refuse. Desperation would not let them stop. Levistus's reach slithered further still. From the high ridges above Avernus came rumors of ships, black-sailed, ice-rimmed, and crewed by the dead-eyed damned, blocking the flow of souls entering Hell's first gate along the river Styx. These were not the usual corsairs of Dis or minions of Mammon. No, these were the hidden dagger of Levistus, soul thieves trained in secret, isolated from one another, loyal only to the promise of their own freedom and power. And when they struck, the first layer choked on the weight of these corsairs. the flow slowed. The coffers of rival archdevils began to dry. Desperate dukes bartered with unspoken names. Even the Dark Eight, a cadre infamous for unity in all but treachery, began to waver. When the first layer falls, the fifth will follow, and then the sixth through ninth will know what it is to be trapped. Bel was never going to stop them. I knew that. I counted on that. I had promises from Moloch, from Azazel, fools with fire still licking their wounds, thinking they'd rise again if they followed me, if they helped sow the chaos just long enough for me to unseat the first and burn a hole to the fifth, trap the sixth through ninth behind their own walls, cut the 9 hells into pieces, and rule the ones that mattered, and it would have worked. Gods, it would have worked. Alas, that pathetic Garion returned, the loyal beast, and my old rival. The one thing I had not accounted for, a devil who did not forget the favour Asmodeus granted. A creature of patience, yes, but also of a colder purpose. And perhaps, though I am spiteful to say it, a creature even more bitter than I. The gambit faltered, my pirates scattered, and I was forced for now to abandon elegance in favour of speed. A shame. Victory postponed is not victory denied. Let the ice thicken, let Garion play sentinel. The plan cracked, but was not shattered. Addendum by Elminster.
Aye, one might wonder after all this, why Levistus remains in the ice, why Asmodeus tolerates him at all. Perhaps it amuses the Lord of Nessus to watch a trapped rival gnaw at his own tail. Perhaps he believes Levistus a useful tool, a wedge to drive between the loyalties of hell. But me? I think Asmodeus is waiting to see what happens when the ice finally breaks. And gods help us if it does. But if it does, I'll be there.
Though ice might hold my body in place, it has done nothing to contain my ambition. Levistus. Even by the otherworldly standards of the 9 hells, the realm of Stygia and its lord, Levistus, both occupy strange positions in the hierarchy. Stygia is a frozen wasteland of mysterious origin, a churning, murky sea, covered in a thick layer of ice. Where the ice gives way to open water, immense icebergs drift on the unpredictable currents. Levistus is trapped within one of these bergs, imprisoned there by Asmodeus, for reasons that few can even guess about. As part of Levistus's punishment, Asmodeus decreed that he must offer escape and safety to the desperate, especially those who fear for their lives. A criminal might entreat Levistus on the eve of his execution, for instance, agreeing to exchange his soul for a boon that enables him to escape to safety. With nothing to do in his tomb other than answer distant entreaties from the material plane, Levistus has attracted the devotion of a wide variety of criminals, rascals, and ne'er-do-wells across a multitude of worlds. He continues to meet his quota of souls, both despite his lack of mobility and because of it. Being imprisoned means that Levistus can focus his full attention on such matters, which allows him to excel at what he does. Levistus was not always the Lord of Stygia. The Archdevil Garion previously ruled over the layer, and the two constantly vied for control of Stygia. The conflict ended when Asmodeus brought down his punishment on Levistus, who was frozen just after his latest victory over Garion. The displaced lord still schemes to supplant Levistus as ruler of the realm, but he can't directly affect his foe, since the ice that imprisons Levistus is impervious to harm. Violence does, however, remain a viable option for Garion against Levistus's servants. As such, Stygia has become a war-racked realm. Any devils bound to either of the archdevils that aren't needed for service in the Blood War engage in constant skirmishes across the ice, and Yugoloths and other mercenaries from across the plains. Though his true form lies imprisoned in a massive chunk of ice, His aspect is very active on other planes. Levistus is honorable and always offers to duel a single enemy at a time. He fights defensively to take advantage of his elaborate rapier prowess. In the unlikely event that he faces a worthy opponent, he falls back on combat expertise to savor the battle. The Archdevil fights fairly, so long as his opponent does the same. If his enemy's allies come to help, he doesn't hold back. He unleashes ice storms after tumbling back to positions of safety. He continues to maneuver around the battlefield, using these storms to divide his enemies. When he can, he summons a pair of Gelagons to even the odds, a mountain of dark ice towers over the frozen sea of Stygia. It is old, ancient by even Batazu standards. At its center, a quarter-mile deep, rests Prince Levistus, the Lord of the Fifth. Levistus is very much aware of his prison and desperately fights to break free. All efforts have failed, and it seems the Berg is resistant to magic, thwarting even the most potent spells. He must be broken free to escape, so he has commanded his devils to chip away at the ice, even though for every inch they gain, 2 more build from the sleet and snow that perpetually blows across the barren land. Hate consumes him. He despises all the other archdevils, but reserves special spite for Asmodeus. The feeling is mutual, since the Lords of the Nine know that if Prince Levistus escaped his prison, he would work against them all, betraying the 9 hells to the very forces they oppose. As a result, all are happy to leave Levistus where he lies. Despite his predicament, Levistus has some influence in the 9 hells and beyond. His aspect works on his behalf, recruiting new followers and setting in motion 1,000 different plots. He makes secret deals with Yugoloths, ambitious pit fiends, and anyone else he can, in order to set the stage for what he feels is his inevitable release. It is a sad, foolish mistake to assume that imprisonment dulls ambition. In truth, there are few things more dangerous than a mind with time. And in the frozen dark of Stygia, one mind has had eons. Levistus, self-styled Prince of Stygia and Hell's most infamous rogue archdevil, remains imprisoned beneath a glacier so vast it splits the layer. And though he cannot move, not a twitch, not a breath, the bastard rules. Yes, still. Yes, truly. That this glacial sarcophagus was designed by Asmodeus himself should speak volumes. You do not bury what cannot rise. You freeze what you fear may still burn. Levistus's legend began long before the ice. A charming devil, no doubt, but charming in the way of poisoned wine. He swaggered through the layers of hell like a duelist in a ballroom, ending disputes not with diplomacy, but with a rapier, piercing, precise, and always fatal. They say no blade ever touched him. They say he looked his opponents in the eye as they died. They say he smiled, but charm and precision could not conceal what lay beneath. A hunger to twist the hierarchy sideways. Where devils sought order, Levistus whispered betrayal. Where they pledged loyalty, he offered better terms, and in time, this rogue prince turned his ambition toward a prize none dared pursue. She should have taken my hand. Bensosia was regal, yes, but clever, not enough. I gave her the choice no one else could. Freedom, the promise of power earned by wit, not her obedience. All she had to do was betray the tyrant. All she had to do was want something more. She refused, so I gave her nothing, and took everything. At least that is what the tales say. Curse my past love, Glacia. Dear old Glacia. Asmodeus responded with wrath, but not fire, not the grand obliteration so many expected. Instead, the Lord of Nessus chose stillness. He entombed Levistus within the ice of his own domain, frozen in place. A duelist no longer able to lift a blade. A schemer locked away to moan in agony for all time. For centuries, It was Larian who ruled in his place, his brutish horns low to the ice. His rule absolute, but joyless. Stygia became a tomb, and Levistus a distant thought. But the 9 hells never forget. And in time, during the reckoning, Larian fell. And Asmodeus, in a move that still inspires fevered academic debate among devilkin, reinstated Levistus. He gave me the keys to the kingdom and left the chains on my wrists. The fool. Let the others mock. Let them point to the ice and call it a prison. I know the truth. This is my throne. I do not need to walk my layer of Stygia to control it. Every whisper I place of vengeance, every shifting loyalty, these things belong to me. And when my enemies sleep, I am listening for their cries, their need for change. Now, while his peers flaunt their armies and fortresses, Levistus's true power lies elsewhere, in the cracks between the layers, in whispered pacts and unseen knives. His followers, bladeravers, as they call themselves, they swagger through mortal cities, pirates with silk on their backs and blades on their hips, claiming vengeance in the prince's name. It is with a blade drawn in betrayal, a cold smile, and the boiling of ice in a stolen iron pot. I gave them no sermons, only weapons. They wanted revenge, and I gave them permission. They are few, yes, but I do not need legions. I need precision. My cult infects the ambitious. They whisper into the ears of the betrayed, the dishonored, those cheated by the machinations and hardships of the mortal and plainer worlds. I give them retribution. I give them silence of their pain in return for their loyalties. Would you fear a god who walked among you, or one who did not have to? To stand before Levistus, the so-called Prince of Stygia, is to seek audience with a devil, and it is to offer your soul to a mirror, one that reflects not what you are, but what you might betray yourself to become. Many have climbed the spiral of frost, but few descend whole. Let me tell you why. To be called before Levistus is to receive a curse disguised as an opportunity. You will be led up a narrow staircase of translucent death, carved into a spire of blackened ice that rises from his eternal berg like a frozen fang. It coils ever upward, spiraling toward a perch so precarious that even the devils guiding you show unease. At the top, you reach a jagged ledge, a simple breath of footing, where the winds of Stygia scream and claw at you like jealous ghosts. From there, you behold the prince himself, entombed in ice across a 60-foot chasm, surrounded by a churning storm of infernal horrors. Winged devils spiral in predatory loops. An ancient white dragon dozes beneath the winds, watching, waiting for motion, or for meat. You are meant to feel small. You are meant to feel watched. You are meant to feel afraid. Levistus, of course, cannot move. He is locked in ice by Asmodeus himself, frozen in a position of regal stillness, unable to blink, speak, or lift the rapier he once wielded with legendary grace. And yet, he hears your thoughts. He pierces your mind like a scalpel through silk. His voice enters you with no sound, and still, it echoes. Speak aloud, mortal. Let your trembling betray you. I have time. You must speak your responses aloud, for he does not lower himself to share direct communion with those he is not judged deserving. You are the opening act in a play that ends with your soul in a jar or a coin. He may not speak in tones, but every word he projects is dressed in condescension. For he knows he cannot be harmed. None but Asmodeus himself may break the curse that binds him, and he wields that invulnerability like a weapon. Threaten him, and he mocks you. Insult him, and you will be hurled from the spire or ripped from the sky by the circling devils. And if you're very unfortunate, you'll be imprisoned in the Hall of Frozen Memories, where the walls remember your screams and fears longer than you do. Still, he listens. provided you bring the proper offering. Levistus demands souls, secrets, or service. Ideally, all three. Bring him whispers about his rivals, maps of disused soul roads, or evidence of treachery among the pit fiends of Dis, and you might earn a second sentence. Bring a soul precious enough to tempt even Mammon, and you might earn a deal. Though make no mistake, what you earn and what you deserve are rarely aligned in Stygia. He is forever hunting agents who can disturb the gears of hell. Heroes, villains, planewalkers, god-haters, and contract breakers. He doesn't care what you are, so long as you are disruptive. He will tempt you with flattery, suggest you are special, that you alone can tilt the infernal order. He may offer information, true, half-true, or beautifully false. He may describe forgotten archdevils long buried in the outer torments. He may give you tools to free a soul trapped in Nessus. He may name a place where Glasia hides her secrets, or where Bel keeps his regrets. But never forget, a lie that sends your enemies to ruin is a truth to me. The more you serve him, the more he rewards you. The more he rewards you, the deeper you fall. And as you take that next mission, just one more favor, just one more risk, you find his claws wrapped around your name. His cultists have a word for this point in the journey: property. Many warlocks and reckless planar scholars seek Levistus, thinking his prison has weakened him. They assume his status has shrunken, his desperation grown. They are wrong on both counts. He does not need you. He has thousands of you, most stacked in his soul vaults, bound in stasis, waiting for their final use or their final disposal.
And then there is Levistus, whom you must never speak of within earshot of still water or cracking ice. If you hear his voice, pray it is not your own mouth speaking. And I take it from one sage of Shadowdale, one who has walked the halls of the 9 hells and seen many of its secrets. Even in this place we can learn, for it is not for others to decide our path. As many a scholar is aware when revenge comes knocking at your door. Answer if you wish, but if you follow that path, make sure you build 2 graves, one for them and one for yourself. As revenge is a double-edged blade, dearest one,